This video was sponsored by Squarespace, the all-in-one platform that makes launching your own website a breeze. Welcome back to the Breakroom, everybody. James Gunn called into the Howard Stern show. What is this, 1994? And dropped some juicy nuggets on the Man of Tomorrow. We're going to get into that and more on today's Breakroom. I'm Zach Huddleston, thrilled to be here to my immediate right with John Costa.
Big fan of juicy nuggets. What can I say?
The biggest. And joining the rear on camera appearance, Alex Berg's here.
They tried to keep me in the chat and they failed.
Yes.
You are chat personified. Let's be real.
If you've participated in the live chat on Breakroom in the last 6-ish months, you've probably interacted with Berg, but he's here in office.
You guys applauded loud enough that I became a real boy. I have been an AI bot until just moments ago.
That's right. So our main topic today, James Gunn called into the Howard Stern show. Howard Stern, not as of yet, retired.
Which is also
Are you
wild.
anticipating that?
Well, it's been a big storyline lately that his contract's about to be up.
And also, you would just think he's been doing it long enough. He's got to have a pretty comfy pillow to lay down on
I would
at night.
assume he's in his late 60s, early 70s at this point.
Been a thing since I was in middle school,
But,
at least.
yeah.
He doesn't appear to have aged that much.
He's
I'll
held
give him
up.
that for someone who I assume does a lot of drugs. No, I don't know if that's true. I would assume.
Yeah, I don't know.
Here's a question. He is the only reason to get Sirius XM radio or whatever. Maybe if you like Dan Patrick or something like that. I don't know. Why renew his contract? Is radio still alive? Are people listening to the radio? Is it all web now?
It's a great question, because you would also think podcast should have been the nail in the coffin to Sirius. If you don't want to listen to terrestrial radio because of ads or you don't know what you're going to get, you could solve all those now. I guess, in your car...
It's still free. Free still carries cachet.
Terrestrial radio.
Yeah.
As opposed to Sirius.
Yeah,
yes. But also, podcasts are essentially free.
Yeah.
I don't know. Throw in the chat. Do you listen to Sirius? I will say I bought a used car in the last year, and it came with free Sirius radio for a month I never listened to. But now if I ever accidentally hit a button, the Sirius commercial loop starts playing, and I'm like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
But that's a long way of getting to James Gunn said to Howard Stern. He's calling in to talk about this Man of Tomorrow announcement. And he kind of led off by saying, this sequel's coming out 2 years after the previous movie. Yeah. It takes longer to put out a season of House of Dragon. Most TV shows can't get a new season out in 2 years. Yeah. He's getting a gigantic blockbuster tentpole film out 2 years after the original, which is pretty impressive. Eric Voss and I shot an episode of something else recently, and we were talking about that was about the gap between Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 and Volume 2. Oh. And it's it makes you wonder, Marvel, especially lately, has been much longer gaps between sequels in the same franchise. Was it just James Gunn?
I mean, James Gunn, I think, is kind of known as a writer for being I had an idea for a script. I'm not being too precious about it. I did all the heavy work thinking about it in the background while I was doing my last project. Here it is,
He's incredibly prolific.
He really is,
does not seem to suffer from writer's block.
Nope.
Eric pointed out, I think in the year 2023, he wrote a season of Peacemaker, a season of Creature Commandos, and Superman.
Yeah, I mean, that's wild.
That's all by himself. He's the only writer on those two shows. That's a lot of content. Taylor Sheridan is maybe the only person that's...
And in contrast to Taylor Sheridan, a lot of people love those Taylor Sheridan shows. I shouldn't talk bad about them. But, he is also very serious about making sure the scripts are good, and he feels confident in them from other writers as well. And I think that he's done a good job making sure the scripts are not the big criticism of Marvel television has been it felt like the scripts were not there, the scripts were rushed, and I hope, and I think season 2 of Peacemaker is proving that that's not what DC Studios is doing right now.
I also think James Gunn. Comparing it to Marvel TV is interesting because, I think Marvel TV, a lot of it felt like such a product of the studio heads rather than a creative. You know, like even like the stuff like I think the end of Loki was truly brilliant, but that felt almost like an exception to the rule. It felt like, you know, more often than not, you were getting kind of studio notes, the TV show, connective tissue, the TV show. Feige called it the homework era. James Gunn, as a creative, has always had such a clear vibe. You know, no matter what he's doing, I think he kind of knows what his lane is. I don't think he's thinking that, like, you know, Man of Tomorrow, you know, he's not doing the Vin Diesel, like, why doesn't Fast and Furious have an Oscar for the franchise thing yet? You know, like, he knows what he's doing. He's going to make, like, a really fun, really comic booky movie, and I think that kind of makes the creative process a little smoother.
Yes, and, you know, he comes in on time and under budget, whether that's just because of his own efficiency, his confidence, and his authorial voice. Also, you know what's really nice? When you are your own boss and you can greenlit your own movie.
Yes,
you know
yes,
what I
that
mean?
also helps.
Sure, there's a lot of other creatives.
Yeah,
that
when
love
you
that
are
position.
the studio.
When you are the studio. Okay, but what he said to Howard Stern was interesting. They start talking, he kind of gives this 2-sentence pitch about what the Man of Tomorrow is going to be. Of course, we found out last week by him posting a comic book still of Lex and his kind of big
His purple and green armor
next to Superman, and then the title Man of Tomorrow with this date of July 2027, pardon me. Well, so he fleshed that out a little bit to Howard Stern, saying that it is a story of Lex and Superman needing to work together to overcome this much larger threat, which is kind of what's hinted at by that image, but that was interesting to hear. And that leads to multiple other questions that did not get answered, but we're going to speculate on those right now.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, I love this as a tagline for Man of Tomorrow because, like, one of the things that I think happened after Heath Ledger passed away, still unknown why.
Is
but
it?
yeah, oh yeah, no one knows.
Oh, okay.
You can't, if you Google it, no one knows.
News to me.
I feel like there were corner reports.
No. It's all fake news. But you know, at the end of Dark Knight, you know, like, you know, Joker has that thing with Batman where he's hanging upside down. It's like, oh, we're going to do this dance over and over again. And it was kind of setting up this potential to have, like, you know, 2 really charismatic leads making multiple movies where they're, like, kind of at odds or against one another. And since then, we've had, like, 14 Jokers. You know, so I'm very excited by this because it sets up that, like, well, we're going to get to see another dynamic of the, you know, Superman Lex Luthor relationship. I thought they were both great in the role, but also it's like maybe we get, like, just a ton more of these, you know, where we get, like, there's no way Lex is just going to be straight up good the rest of the time, you know?
Right, and I think, like, that's the interesting part. And we're going to talk about, like, the bigger threat, the reason they need to team up, but let's just focus on them. I also think James Gunn Superman did a really good job. It's not that Lex Luthor wants to take over the world and Superman's standing in his way. Lex Luthor, for all intents and purposes, has taken over the world. He's the most successful businessman.
He's already doing very well for himself.
Tech guy, whatever, right? It is a personality conflict at its core. Lex hates that this guy, you know, that this guy comes in and bumps him down the order. He resents his power, his specialness that makes Lex feel less than because of him, and that's why it's not like you're standing in my way of taking over the world. Like, I want to harm you.
Yeah.
And so their dynamic is so much more focused on each other, right? And so that will be really interesting to, like, it's even harder then for them to team up, right? When that is the core of their dynamic.
I mean, and my big question is, like, I understand exactly why Lex would want to use Superman. That makes clear sense to me. Why would Superman want to work with Lex?
Yes,
that's the
absolutely.
big question that
That's
I have.
such a fascinating piece of it.
Okay, then that might pivot into the bigger threat that they need to fight, right? And, like, we were kind of scrolling through DC villains, being like, now Eric Voss thinks it's Brainiac because James Gunn has said he loves the Brainiac character. That's obviously a huge villain in DC and the Superman lore. But, like, you know, we were just kind of scrolling through and I was like, Zod?
Could be Zod.
Yeah.
One of the other things that we said is, like, okay, you've already got Lex in this movie. Is that enough interest and draw of a villainous character that you can pull a James Gunn move and grab
Some obscure...
some Starro type bullshit?
Yeah, you only know this DC villain if you're going through, like, the collector's boxes
Right.
at the flea markets on the weekends.
Yes.
But, like, yeah, because, like, if the central emotional conflict is still how do we get these two to work together, then you can just have the villain be like a big bruiser,
Yes. And you can elevate a lesser hero or villain to you just give them more status and power.
Absolutely.
Obviously, High Evolutionary was in nobody's top 5 Marvel villains.
No.
Same with Ego the Living Planet, probably, right? And yet James Gunn was able to like build a film around that. I think that's a great opportunity. I also say my brain goes to Kryptonite and that is this a villain that somehow embodies that, uses that in a way that weakens Superman? But then the question is, why doesn't he just go to the Justice Gang? Why doesn't he lean on any other metahuman? You're right. Why does he need this particular guy who the last we saw was getting sent to prison for crimes committed against the city of Metropolis?
And you got to know that mech suit is going to have some kind of weird button in it that radiates
it's going to be
kryptonite energy or what? Yeah,
because it's fundamentally like the vibe is kind of like when is it in Dark World or is it in the? I can't remember when Thor has to go back to Loki for help, and he's like, "Oh, brother, you must be desperate." That's going to be the thing, right?
Yeah.
Like it's going to be that kind of energy.
And James Gunn, not in this particular quasi interview, but previously he said that this movie is not a direct Superman sequel. And that's weird because Superman's in it, and it's coming 2 years after Superman.
And it's also called Superman subtitle.
Man of Tomorrow.
Do you think that just means that it's another Superman story, and it doesn't necessarily really follow directly from the events of Superman?
Kind of does, right? They're going to acknowledge that Lex got sent to prison.
Yeah.
I guess my question is, what does he mean by that? He's not a total bullshit artist, so there must be a reasoning behind him saying that.
I have a pitch.
Let's hear it.
James Gunn has done a lot of ensemble movies.
Yes.
Yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy, The Suicide Squad, etc. And he's so good with an ensemble. Maybe his idea is okay, well, we're going to market it as a Superman movie to get butts in seats, but realistically, I want this to be more of a team movie.
Yeah.
We're not going to do Justice League quite yet, whatever it is, but I want to have a lot of people share the screen.
This is functionally the next image we get from him is going to be a zoomed out of that comic panel, and there's Hawk Girl, and there's Mr. Terrific, and there's Guy Gardner or whatever.
I mean,
right?
when Aaron was on the show last week or whenever that was, they made the point that James Gunn really excels with a found family. And that's what is at the core of Guardians and Suicide Squad and Creature Commandos, even Peacemaker, and if that's going to be kind of what's at the core of the next Superman movie, be it sequel or no, then I'm way on board for it.
Yeah. Seikmo on YouTube in the chat pointing out they think it's just called Man of Tomorrow. It's not Superman Man of Tomorrow. The name of the film, as far as we know, is just Man of Tomorrow.
I got that wrong.
Singular man.
It does not say
there's a comic book run called Superman Man of Tomorrow. So our brain goes towards that's the Man of Tomorrow.
Yeah. And the animated movie that came out a few years ago as well, Superman Man.
But could that Man of Tomorrow not be referring to Superman?
Right. Is it maybe we're turning over a new leaf for Lex Luthor,
or is that the threat that they need to team up to face is this Man of Tomorrow? Interesting. Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it, John, that maybe this is a team-up movie in hiding and that he feels like it's not a good idea to just call it the Justice Gang film or something like that.
I don't know if you said, hey, man, we're going to see the Justice Gang film tonight. I'd be count me in.
What if it was called the Justice Gang film, the movie?
Yeah. I'm very on board. I'm very on board.
Justice Gang.
I did something. What was it? I pulled a real ATM machine recently with something else where I repeated the term.
PIN number. That's sort of
that
faux pas. Yes.
Some other chats coming in. Christian Unpronounceable sending in a super chat. I'll be the first to ask for some Berg bits, aka animal facts. Don't you threaten me with a good time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Please. Please.
Berg is our resident science expert, entomology expert, mycology expert.
It depends what kick I'm on. All the ology. Lately, I've been on because I had a friend who's convinced that AI is going to take over the world tomorrow.
Whoa!
And so I read a couple books on theories of AI and consciousness to try to prove why he was wrong. And I did. It's been several tomorrows. The AI has not taken over yet. And then that led me down like a real like cog-sci thread. And so I just finished a book that was like an MIT Press like free library access thing called like The Evolution of Bodies, Brains, and Minds or something like that. And it was wild. This is very much a tangent. We could talk more about Man of Tomorrow.
Okay.
But because of Alien Earth, I've been like all over it. Yeah.
Berg is our Man of Tomorrow, okay? And his brain is always 1,000 feet ahead. One of today's sponsors is Squarespace. Squarespace is an all-in-one tool that gives you everything you need to make a website that looks good and does whatever you need it to do. Whether that's a portfolio or a homepage for your business, or just a site where people can leave reviews of your dog, and only your dog, Squarespace can handle it. If you're selling goods or services, Squarespace can help you untangle digital payment platforms with just a few clicks, making it easy to start receiving payments right away using popular payment methods like Apple Pay, ACH Direct Debit, Klarna, and more. If you're not a graphic designer, don't worry. Squarespace's design intelligence tool makes it so easy to get your website looking just right. It combines 2 decades of industry-leading design expertise with cutting-edge AI technology. Every Squarespace website is optimized to be indexed with meta descriptions, an auto-generated sitemap, and more, so you show up more often to more people in global search engine results. Head to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/breakroom to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Well, I guess conspiring more around these James Gunn quotes. I should also say that the kind of his interaction continued with Howard Stern, and they talked about James Gunn said he relates a lot to Lex Luthor in the way that we were talking about previously. Lex Luthor, certainly has lots of negative qualities, kind of homicidal, but that resentment from somebody that is greater than you and greater than all man, right? A lot of us could relate to that. If there was a real, especially if you feel like you're on the top of the hill and then this outsider comes in and is immediately above you, I think that's a natural human emotion. And Howard Stern went on to be like, yeah, me too. I'd totally hate it if that guy came in. It's I can believe that more from Howard
I remember being in, I think this is shortly after college, there was a running back who was my exact height and weight, but of course they were pure muscle and I was, bong resin and beer yeast or whatever, but it's so easy to go I'm 5'8" and 200 pounds, or whatever.
Yes. I think, we all...
Everybody has those little moments.
Anytime there's the hot shot in your social circle, in your office, in your whatever, and jealousy is an innate human emotion.
It's just most of us don't build a whole life around it. Yes. In the way that Lex Luthor has a whole room full of people and video game combos to defeat Superman.
Yeah. Most of us don't try to murder the person that makes us jealous.
Yeah, you just go I got to keep that in check. That's not a great emotion. I don't love that.
But I get circling back to what he meant by this is not a Superman movie, and the fact that it's not just called Superman 2, it's called Man of Tomorrow. Now, I'll also say, what was the original title for his Superman movie?
Superman Legacy.
Superman Legacy. Yeah.
Then over time that dropped and it just became Superman. So is there a world where when this movie comes out, it's not called Man of Tomorrow?
Yeah, I think Man of Tomorrow is a working title, right? It's got to be.
Oh, I think you could go 50-50. It could stick.
Just it's not locked in.
Yeah.
What if instead of it being in the same way Superman Legacy got dropped down to just Superman, what if Man of Tomorrow just becomes Man?
Or just of.
Yeah.
Here's a question that I have. Okay. It's coming out in July 2027. Superman came out July of this year. We're getting Supergirl July of next year. Is this going to just kind of be the super family DC wants to have a yearly release with these characters?
I think that's a great point, John, in that the density of Superman within DC output, right? Sprinkled in there, we'll get a Clayface movie, presumably maybe one other, Matt Reeves' Batman also 2027, but that's a separate universe as of now. There's an animated Robin and whatever
Nightwing or
whatever that movie is, but it's animated, so it'll feel kind of different.
Someone in the chat pointing out Supergirl's in June. You get my point.
Yeah,
the big summer one, and then like is Clayface? Are the Batman movies going to be like a holiday period?
Because the Batman movies do feel
I
like
want that to be
the
October.
darkness of winter.
I want that to be.
I want long Halloween.
Clayface, which is filming now. We're seeing some photos from the set and stuff like that. Like,
and maybe you put the Justice League movie in that spot when it's time, so that you're not like you can't do a Superman movie every single year. People would get exhausted.
Even every 2 years feels like a pretty high frequency.
I do kind of like you guys were talking about Knives Out on Monday, and like how those have become like holiday movies, that you can kind of look forward to. Like, I kind of love that for being like, hey, we're gonna split our massive, shared universe and be like, Superman's like a little brighter, a little happier. Those are going to be summer movies. Batman's more brooding. Those are going to be like autumn, winter movies. Like I like that a lot.
And then we sprinkle in a smaller, maybe lesser known character thing like a Clayface or Sergeant Rock, if that movie ever happens, or whatever, right? In addition to our HBO.
Yeah, that's like your
output.
April. Are we getting another season of Penguin? Was that ever confirmed? Or,
No.
I think Colin Farrell was so sick of the prosthesis,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
As of
But
yet,
he's coming
unconfirmed.
back for Batman 2.
Yes,
I'll
he'll
take
be
it.
in the Batman.
And I
too.
think that Matt Reeves came out and said like him and the showrunner, whose name I'm forgetting, of the Penguin, had ideas for another season.
Bill Penguin.
So, Bill Penguin.
Yeah.
Penguin
Yeah,
of the Baltimore Penguins. That will be interesting if they try to sustain this pace. I mean, if Supergirl comes out and we immediately get a Supergirl sequel announced. Now, Supergirl not written by James Gunn, written by Anna Noguera, who has since been conscripted to write another DC property that might be the Themyscira. It's eluding me right now, but clearly is like within the DC inner circle. But James Gunn can just pump stuff out so fast.
Well, and I think also, his actors come back and are so loyal to him. Like I think a lot of like delays and stuff, and if Gina were here, I'm sure she could give specific examples, but like are behind the scenes fundamentally caused by people just being pricks, and I think part of what James Gunn's, tempo might be is like, he's not losing any time. He's working with friends. People are coming back.
I was just saying.
I hope that's true. I don't know if that's the case or not.
At least just basing it on the Superman cast, right? Like, not stacked with movie stars.
No.
The schedules, no offense to them, but the schedules of David Cornsweet and Rachel Brosnahan, a little bit easier to manage than Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. and Jeremy Renner and the big Marvel actors, right? I guess, Nicholas Hoult is a very busy actor who makes 20 things a year. So, like, I'm sure that's not easy. But I also wonder if his whole style of nothing gets greenlit until there's a good final script, that also makes it a little easier to recruit actors.
Yeah.
When I'm not just signing on for, I'm going to be playing X character, but I don't know anything about it, but I can read all the lines that that character will say,
I can see their arc and get a sense of it.
Yeah, just real quick, while we're talking DC, Kenzie Kugler 22, could we see GI Robot and Peacemaker on, you say Planet X, I think Earth X is the terminology for the alternate dimension where the Nazis won the war and whatever, kind of this ongoing thing based on, so far, Peacemaker Season 2, we haven't seen any people of color in this alternate dimension.
It's been a noticeable absence. It's like watching the Jetsons as an adult.
Yes, there's some other little clues, like flags on people's desks that look a little different. And people pointed out, like, well, who's a character James Gunn has kind of worked with that loves killing racists? And it's GI Robot from Creature Commandos. We were just saying, that would be wild as hell if a CG
would love to see a
brass robot,
effect. Yes,
1940s style robot with machine guns shows up and starts mowing people down. Wild as hell. That was a big comment. We didn't talk about that in last week's Peacemaker After Show, and it was by far a smart recurring comment. People mentioning that character could show up. Christian Unpronounceable sending out 10 gift subs, no doubt, or gift memberships.
Oh,
no doubt, out of pity for our stream dropping. Thank you, Christian.
Our most ardent supporter.
And then, Critter on YouTube making a very astute point that we should acknowledge. Lex murdered people. He should not really be given a redemption here. Related to this, should or will Lex be given redemption in Man of Tomorrow? It's an interesting thing. Like, could it be a Suicide Squad type thing as maybe part of your penance? You did this thing that led to incredible property damage, probably cost the lives of people, right? Like, you now need to repent in the form of, like, help us defeat something else that will harm a lot of people.
Right, like if you undo the potential harm by this bigger enemy, can that balance out the karmic scales from the harm you already did, kind of thing?
What a difficult moral question to answer. My opinion is no. You still killed all those people,
that
you piece of shit. The government is corrupt in this world, but also in the world of the DCU. It seems clear of like how he gets out, right? And you're right. Maybe there is a Waller aspect. Maybe it's something similar where they need him for something specific. I've already said this. My question is like, why does Superman have to do community service time with Lex? Is my question.
That is a great question. What can Lex possibly help him with that he can't either do on his own or ask other non-evil people to help him with?
Or is it that like, because Superman, this version of Superman is so
good,
blissfully trusting and good. Yeah, like, is it the case that's like, like
he can be redeemed, maybe,
or is it that he can't conceive of the cynicism and like selfishness that humanity is capable of? But Lex sure as hell can, and he kind of needs that.
And maybe it's a Hannibal Lecter type situation, right?
Yes.
That'd be fun.
I have to work with you. I have no choice. You understand the brain of whatever we're battling, the brain of the Brainiac, maybe. I also think, and it's hard, we love to run with stuff, and we're going to speculate on the ending of a movie that we literally know
it's
2
2 years from now,
but, like, how likely does it feel that they team up? They're obviously going to work together to maybe overcome something, but that in the end, there's a double cross, there's a backstab, and the movie ends back to the same dynamic we had in the first Superman movie, antagonistic.
I think there's no way that does not happen. Yes. I think that has to happen.
We don't want to see them long-term friends, right?
No. And it can't happen. Now, this is very like classic villain stuff. We saw it in The Dark Knight we've talked about Joker a couple times.
Yeah.
Like, Lois could be in danger, right? That it could be as simple as something like that. It doesn't feel like Superman or Clark, Kal-El, whatever you want to call him, has those deep connections. Maybe his parents. So like I don't know. It seems like they've just started dating. Of course they care for each other, but like, is it worth teaming up with a mega villain?
This is also the guy who like went out of his way to save a squirrel. You're right. Like there could be something that is, you know what I mean? Like he's willing to go the extra mile for the extra save.
I think that's a great point, in that like literally if nobody else on Earth forgives Lex, Superman will be the first.
He kind of has to. He had
so.
Like he won't.
He like is biologically incapable of holding a grudge or whatever. So maybe there is something there, and it will be interesting. James Gunn will find a way to justify it. There will be some kind of internal logic, and I will say, like, in the same way, I didn't love this movie, but like the general concept of Batman v Superman is interesting. What if they fought, right? Like the general concept of what if Superman teamed up with Lex Luthor is kind of fun. And like once a franchise has been established, to keep it interesting, to keep it like not just like, 80% of the people that enjoyed the first movie will come back for the second movie. To give people even a reason that didn't watch or enjoy Superman 1 a reason to check out this one. Maybe just the gimmick of like the villain and the good guy have to team up is like an interesting gimmick.
But those like reversals of dynamic, it's like in Civil War, how it's like, oh, they're gonna Tony's gonna fight Cap, like that, enemies to friends and friends to enemies and to lovers. If Man of Tomorrow turns into a steamy romance, third act, like, oh my gosh,
hot Lex on Cal action.
How Superman got his groove back. But like those flips are so fun and allow you to see other sides of the character. And I think again because Gunn isn't like scripting on the fly, right? Like. He's thinking of this movie as a good Superman Lex story, not as we need another installment in the franchise. What can keep it fresh?
Yes.
Which makes me optimistic for it.
And in theory, maybe he hasn't said as much. He's also thinking about what comes after this and how this plays a part in an even bigger story. Right.
Well, and in a few weeks, I think we'll have a little bit more information.
There's no way we're getting any more information than just 2 words on Howard Stern.
Well, no, I mean to say this because I think James Gunn has said like the end of Peacemaker season 2 is going to be setting this movie up in a way. I don't know. That sounds like an end tag type of thing. It doesn't seem like the plot of Peacemaker season 2 is going to connect into Man of Tomorrow. Maybe it will.
Yeah.
Who knows? But like. In a couple of weeks, we'll do the show again, and we'll have a little bit more information.
Yes,
I mean, gosh, we were wrong.
Do we think? I mean, this is kind of like the odds of different characters cameoing in Peacemaker season 2, right? Like, I think a lot of speculation. Superman is going to show up in this series. I feel like this greatly increases the odds Lex shows up in the series. Maybe like Chris Peacemaker is arrested for something and ends up in the same kind of facility that Lex is. Maybe Rick Flag goes to Lex. They have had a working relationship in the past. Something like that. I feel like it greatly increases. And maybe we see Lex get released or whatever, setting up the dynamic that would allow them to work together.
Does Lex leave Earth X and come into our Prime
Which
universe?
Lex
And there's
is
a
Superman
second
teaming
Lex
up
or
with?
something.
Yeah.
That's a great question. What if it's a non-bald,
Nicholas
Flowing
Holt has
locks.
beautiful.
goateed, whatever?
Recast as Fabio playing Lex Luthor.
I'm trying to think, is Nicholas Holt ever had a beard in a movie? I'm trying to think of what he would look like.
I can't think of one.
Such a-
Beast? He was Beast.
Oh, yeah. A blue-haired Lex Luthor. Yeah, great one. Christian Unpronounceable saying, how much Superman or Lex are we going to see in Supergirl? That's a great question.
I doubt we see Lex.
Yeah, I would lean on that. But
I bet
we
we
gotta
see Superman, yeah.
At least a cameo level, maybe a bigger role.
I think we'll get more Superman in Supergirl than we got Supergirl in Superman.
Agreed.
Does that make sense?
During the normal runtime of the film, we will see Superman, not
I
just...
bet you he's around for Act 1. Like, I bet you he's the bridge between, like, the audience, like, proxy between, like, hey, if you don't really know Supergirl, you certainly know Superman. He can introduce you to her, and you can understand that she is not him, and then she'll go off on her own story.
And just to acknowledge to the normies or people that maybe didn't watch Superman or stick around for the end credit scene, this is a universe that also has a Superman.
Yeah.
And I'm related to that guy. We are cousins or whatever, right? Like
he watches my dog when I'm out of town.
Yes, you need some way to acknowledge that early. You can say it out loud without showing him, but it's more fun to show him.
Yeah.
And I feel like they could get Corin Sweat.
I think so.
I think he's available.
Yeah.
He's already got the suit.
He's doing twisters.
Yeah.
Two
Just
S's.
keep putting S's on.
Yeah.
Digital Wizard 69. The best of the digital wizards. Sending in a super chat. I think Lex will get a pardon in exchange for helping Argus with Peacemaker's dimensional rift.
Ooh.
And that's how it sets up
That
Man
could
of
be a
Tomorrow.
connection there.
Very interesting. People, including Eric Voss, pointed out, right? Like the technology seems similar between the thing that Lex has and what Chris has, and maybe they kind of stem from similar creations. So maybe they got to bring him in to do it. I mean, couldn't they also get Mr. Terrific to help with that?
Yeah.
He's kind of the one that had to do it.
Maybe go to the non-criminal first.
Yeah,
Interesting.
the really smart good guy. But I hear you on that, and I think that could definitely be it. Feels like I would love to see more top of the food chain Argus as the season goes along. And just a little bit of Rick Flag, and it's mostly the goofball grunts. It's a lot of Tim Meadows going on doomed missions, failed missions to capture Peacemaker. I'd love to get a little bit more of the bureaucracy, as dumb a sentence as that is.
No, but it's the like Venture Brothers of it, right? Like where it's like, it's this big evil corporation, and like there is fun to be had with the goons and goofballs, but also like there's got to be someone who's like doing paperwork and filing HR, and those people all need healthcare.
Loki was basically
Yes, this is true.
office work, the show, and it worked really well.
It was great.
I agree, especially with a television show. You can't get into that with the runtime of a movie, but with a TV show, let's get more into that.
Sure.
And as long as it's well written, and it has been, I'm in.
Today's episode of Breakroom is brought to you by Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. Football season has officially begun, so we're already full of hot takes and strong opinions on every player, and we're putting our money where our mouths are with over-under bets. Will Saquon Barkley have more than one rushing TD? More, for sure, right? But Joe Burrow's not getting 2.5 passing TDs. Prize Picks is simple to play. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get your picks right, you could cash in. Prize Picks is also the best way to get action on sports in more than 40 states, including California, Texas, and Georgia. Prize Picks puts their users first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. Prize Picks offers Venmo, Apple Pay, MasterCard, and more for quick and easy deposits into your account this football season. Download the app today and use code BREAKROOM to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code BREAKROOM to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right.
Here's an announcement.
Boy.
We're going to be dark next week.
Yes.
And the following week. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But the reason that we're going to be dark is because next week you'll find out we're going to be announcing some very exciting stuff we've been working very hard on. People in the chat probably can speculate what that might be. There's been hints. So the next couple of weeks we're going to be quiet. So apologies for that. Apologies for being a little unprepared today. We've been working our tails off on an exciting new project.
Yes, there's potential for a last minute live stream or something like that in the next 2 weeks, but we are currently not planning on streaming or uploading any new videos.
If there's something big, we'll be here.
Yes, we'll jump on stream, and there might be a special guest or something like that, but most likely you may not see us the next 2 weeks. Yeah, a special guest, Berg.
Nothing special about that.
We are going to stream on Friday. I think we'll be talking Peacemaker. Myself and Eric Voss are going to be here to do that and talk more other projects. But yeah, it's kind of an other background. Both, we are working on some big new projects we're very excited about. Also, you know what? It was a grind getting through the summer. We had a very busy July, didn't slow down very much. In August, we realized we are taxed to the brim. Hey, we appreciate everybody that watches us, all the wonderful folks that have become members of YouTube. We feel kind of bad. We've asked you to become members, and now we're not going to give you week content for 2 weeks. I really apologize, and if you need to cancel your membership, nobody will judge you for that. Take back your 99 cents. I feel bad that it feels like we're under-delivering already, but this was a decision we made a couple weeks ago. We also have some people that are taking some trips and doing some remote stuff and stuff like that. We weren't going to have kind of the staff capabilities. So apologies. We wanted to let everybody know about that earlier. We'll also probably announce that on Friday as well. And then, should we get into the chalkboard thing? We haven't talked about that.
There's this Tony Gilroy quote about him not liking people comparing Andor to
Mandalorian.
A bunch of other stuff. There's a bunch of Clayface stuff that's shooting right now. It's very exciting. You can find clips about online. But yeah, what Zach is alluding to, and him and Eric will go into more detail on Sunday's episode of the Sneak Peek, is the Russo brothers have shared, we'll put this up in post, but while you guys are watching here, the Russo brothers have shared this image as a Doomsday clue.
Doomsday is coming.
Don't adjust your sets.
It
looks
fuzzy.
this dumb.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Here's the thing. This is why we had Berg on the show today, because his digital brain can maybe interpret some of this.
It looks that bottom enhance. But that bottom line in there looks pretty clearly like one of the differential equations from that describe the curves of space-time in general relativity from Fantastic Four. And then there was something else up here that looked like a Minkowski diagram, but it looks like a chunk of Reed's blackboard from Fantastic Four, which is just like loaded with wormholes and parallel dimensions and these ways of showing time-like curves and space-like curves and yada yada yada. So, it seems like if Doom isn't working on the same thing, he's probably stealing Reed's research. Which would feel on point. But it certainly seems like they're setting up for like a wormhole between dimensions.
Yeah, Reed is going to be doing some math to some sciencing to either initiate the events of Doomsday, Could it also be hinting at the math and science that Reed has done in the past is the cause?
I think that's
of
it.
Doomsday?
At least like in Ultimate Fantastic Four, like that's the whole thing, is that like Reed did this and then it went poorly. You know, like
That led to incursions possibly that are harming wherever Doom is coming from, and that is angering him. Maybe other people have speculated on like other reasons that like could be causing incursions, and like Doom is pissed about that, and that is motivating him.
This might feel like a repeat of a beat, but Fantastic Four First Steps ended in a way that I think many of us were surprised by. That being like the Fantastic Four did not leave the 828. Like a lot of people predicted, because Galactus wanted Franklin. I do wonder if it's a situation where, you know, they went through all this trouble to keep Franklin safe from Galactus, and now there is this like energy of Doom took our child. I'll do whatever it takes because we've already been there before, and actually fuck your
right.
We
were playing defense, now we're playing offense.
Right. And so like Reed is a little bit more okay with breaking some moral boundaries,
stretching.
Yeah.
his
Okay.
morals.
Great. Yeah. Exactly.
This is a great point, John, in that like, will it start to feel lame if the only motivator for the Fantastic Four is somebody stole our baby?
Yeah.
Like, if it's truly like Baby MacGuffin, where like, that might. Will they run it back the very next time we see the Fantastic Four?
I mean, it seems like it, right? Like that's the tag
that
of
was
the
certainly
movie.
what was hinted at in the
Yeah.
post-credit scene. Yeah, that's interesting.
All that kind of stuff. But I wonder if Reed will kind of be like throwing his hands up and being like, I don't have time to do this in a way that is safe. I'm going to break some rules of physics and just go for it here.
I
Who knows?
like that.
Who knows why these incursions start?
Zooming out to the Russos tweeting this, and it's not like there's not a specific reasoning for the timing of the tweet. It's not like the first day of shooting or shooting is wrapped or tickets on sale or anything like that. It's just kind of a random day to tweet out this image. So they have a history of that, I guess, during the filming. I think it was of either Infinity War or Endgame. They tweeted out like a picture of the set where you could just kind of see ladders and flats and stuff like that with like look hard. Like people looked really hard and didn't find
Saw ladders and flats.
I don't think anything ever came of it. So it's just like a little bit of like, we're being mysterious.
It does feel a little bit like the email tactic of like, oh hey, I don't have the document I was supposed to get you. I'll just send a quick email to be like, hey, I'm working on it. You know, like so the thread's not going dead. It feels a little bit like the production equivalent of that. You know.
Do you think things like these? Obviously, most people are not seeing these. This is not like a giant headline event, but it is certainly targeted
for us. Yeah.
Right. Do you think these, and if there's a steady drip of that kind of stuff over the next 15 months before, or the next 11 months before the real marketing campaign kicks into gear, does that help kind of keep the flame of Doomsday alive for the general population? No,
well,
right?
Because I think for the general population, this doesn't break through. Well, because for a second I was like, yeah, and then I was like, no. Because, like, for the general population, they're not coming through. This is for the Marvel sickos.
Yes,
this is for us.
We will make, for the 100,000 people that saw that tweet, and then we and a dozen other channels will make a YouTube video that will be seen by several hundred other thousand people, right? Just kind of these little sparks to keep the news cycle going. Like, it's never going to be front page stuff, but, like, you dribble this out over time just to kind of get that free press, right?
Well, we don't know, like, if this has been initiated by the Russos, if this has been initiated by Marvel Studios marketing team. We have no idea. If you're Marvel Studios marketing team, what do you have to market? I mean, obviously there's Zombies and Wonder Man coming up, but that's different teams in their film division. So they're probably desperate to start working on something. Spider-Man is not their marketing department. That's Sony's marketing department.
Right.
So they do need to be putting out some things to get people reminded.
My kind of guess is like that. This is less about like keeping Gen Pop in the loop on Doomsday, and more about like getting their most ardent supporters to start like circling the wagons of excitement around this film already, so that when it does land, it's guaranteed at least this much impact. and then that does spread out and has a broader impact globally.
Yes, in theory, right? I don't know if they
in
succeed at
theory,
that.
yeah.
But I think like maybe to wrap things up and to tie in our first topic to this last topic, like obviously Marvel, the Russos, Kevin Feige are taking a very different ideological stance on dealing with the public than James Gunn and DC.
Yeah.
James Gunn tweets out everything. He's constantly updating everybody on the state of all projects.
He's thinking out loud on social
yes,
media.
with impressive openness and honesty.
Yes.
So say like that script's not there yet. We're just waiting on this script.
Which
Like,
is crazy to me, considering that this guy almost got canceled because of tweets. If I were him, I would not tweet a single more tweet in my entire life.
if anybody has a reason to never be on social media ever again, you would think it's James Gunn. Instead, he goes the opposite direction. Now, he's quite a bit more professional in his social media presence now than he used to be. But like, he's constantly talking about projects. Marvel is the complete opposite, right? Like, they wait till these big events when they do like a big reveal, right? Like, they maybe release things through official press outlets. They might tell the Hollywood Reporter about something, but sometimes they don't even do that. We still don't know if Chris Evans is in Doomsday from Marvel, even though everybody else says Chris Evans is in Doomsday. Right. Like, they are so hold things back. And I was kind of arguing with Eric about this earlier. It feels like their entire methodology, and part of this is because they're a big top-down organization, whereas James Gunn is the top and the down, but like they are so obsessed with leaks, with spoilers, right, that they keep an iron grip on all information.
Well, and I think, Marvel has famously so many times in the past said, we're going to do something. We're going to do a Blade movie. And then it doesn't happen and they get roasted for it mercilessly.
And so that's fair. Maybe they've been burned too much.
Yeah, I think
some big things have been spoiled and maybe they worry about that. But here's my argument. Again, James Gunn tweets everything out. He's constantly updating people. Not that he's tweeting out spoilers for his films or anything like that. And there's still some surprises he chooses to hold back. And often his answers can be a little oblique and kind of riddly in fun ways. But like, doesn't it feel that because of Marvel's obsession with not letting anything get out, they've also stifled the fun?
I see that. I think it's a little bit of James Gunn feels like he's much more media savvy as a person. He's fast, he's agile, and Marvel is this like big hulking tanker that takes forever to turn around. Like, I don't think they've kind of caught up to the marketing.
No, and like I was saying, doesn't it feel like Marvel is still operating in like 2016, 2017? Yes. James Gunn's very much in 2025. I mean, also, though Kevin Feige is a charming person that like when he gets interviewed, he does a good job. He doesn't tweet. Yeah. He's not out there like he doesn't talk much. It's kind of a big deal when he talks to the press at all.
Yeah, it's always news what hat he's wearing.
Yes.
And that's only news if you're not saying a lot.
And people have to kind of be a Kremlinologist to read between the lines. Whereas James Gunn, like, you can just ask him a follow-up question and he'll tweet right back at you no matter who you are, right?
Yeah, and DC doesn't have, and didn't have, even when it was sort of being creatively led by Zack Snyder, like the reputation of, you're going to get taken down if you leak something, which to my understanding, like Marvel maybe gives you a talking to, but I don't think Marvel has ever like fired someone for leaking something. Maybe some below the line people, right?
Not that we know of,
But so maybe they're just playing to their reputation a little bit because they can be more cryptic. They can be like, okay, the chairs thing, like that was obviously like very planned.
Yes,
but still. Give us no real information.
Right. Yeah. But like kind of made chicken salad out of chicken shit. And I appreciate that in that like, and it was unique.
I don't get it, which was disgusting.
But like, I think we got more information from this Howard Stern call-in than we got from the chairs.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay. Yes, we got actors that are.
You can make a good argument. The chairs got more attention because of its novelty and its weirdness, right?
True.
So I hope, and I'm not trying to dogpile on Marvel, and obviously we are biased in that we want more information all the time so we can make our shitty little content. But
okay.
Or our great little content
there
too. It's only shitty when I make it, John, not when you make it. It's good when you make it. But like, what was I saying? I don't mean to dogpile on them because also we're 15 months out from Doomsday. Yeah. Starting in February or March or whatever, they could really start rolling out some really cool, funky stuff that will get people excited about Doomsday. And I'm sure they're thinking about that because like Marvel has lost the casuals. Right? Yeah. Like, hardcore comic book fans are still going to see every Marvel movie. It's the less hardcore people that have abandoned that as a genre. Now, I'm not saying DC's gotten them. You know, for all the praise, Superman made $100 million more than Fantastic Four. It didn't like trounce it. Okay, so like everybody would like to be getting more people in to see these movies. So like they've got to figure out how to reach those people.
Well, you know, and one of you made the point a couple weeks ago in talking about like, you know, Marvel, or maybe it was like over the summer when Fantastic Four and Superman were like, you know, both in theaters still, but like, you know, James Gunn and DC get to just look forward. You know, they just did a big reset. Like Marvel has to also answer for all the promises it's made in the past, both implicit and explicit. That's right. You know, and so like that's a little bit of a finer needle to thread, you know, because as soon as Marvel says like, you know, if Marvel were to say that the next you know, Avengers movie were going to be like you know, I'm trying to think of like, you know, a Thing Shang-Chi team up or something like that, everybody would go like, wait, but Shang-Chi finished his movie at the end of here and Thing is in this, you know, like there'd be that, and DC doesn't have that baggage at this point. So like, I think it could be a little column A, column B, where it's like, you know, Marvel doesn't necessarily have that kind of agile savvy to start with. But even if they did, it might bite them in the butt more than it would help.
Because we've been on that ride so many times already, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still upset we don't have a Blade movie.
Hell yeah.
I got great Blade casting news like a lifetime ago at this point it feels like, and I still don't have even know when a Blade movie is coming.
There are people driving now who were conceived during the Mahershala Ali casting announcement. Yes. Okay, that's how long it's been, John.
It's like anytime.
Whoa!
Whoa! But yeah, it's like anytime George R. R. Martin does something else, and everyone's like, "Finish the series," you know,
God.
Like you know, that's kind of where Marvel is now.
We're talking about, you talked about box office a little bit. Does it matter? Maybe not. I am curious to hear your guys' thoughts on this. Does Spider-Man? First of all, does Doomsday make $1 billion? Which sounds like a crazy thing to say.
But that would be half as much as Endgame.
It would be half as much as Endgame, but also twice as much as the Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
I would have thought the Fantastic Four was a guaranteed $1 billion movie, and it only did $500 million. Like, are we done with $1 billion movies?
No.
Every studio combined only had, so far this year, has only had $1 billion. Only Lilo and Stitch live action has made $1 billion. Minecraft got close, but like, that's it. So maybe we're just done with the era of $1 billion movies.
Well, what was Deadpool Wolverine, right? Didn't
that made over $1 billion?
Made over $1 billion,
like 1.2, 1.4, something like that.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty lofty bar to clear. So I certainly don't think I'm saying that like, oh, definitely the movie's of billions of dollars. But like,
that's how I would have felt before Fantastic Four came out, and then Fantastic Four came out, and Superman came out, and I was shocked by how.
I think there is a. I think that, you know, bringing it back to like the marketing conversation of it, like there was a point when Marvel could just put out any movie and we would all go see it. You know, like we all saw Thor 2, you know, like we weren't really into it, but like we saw it, you know.
Yeah. Now that movie didn't make $1 billion either.
It did not.
And you know, to be fair, a lot of those $1 billion Marvel movies made hundreds of millions of dollars from China and Russia.
Yep.
Where effectively Marvel movies now make $0.
Yep.
Also, you know, to be fair to all the movies that came out this year, a lot of the world didn't have great feelings about American movies this year.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there is so much that goes into like when and where a movie lands, what's it up against, what's the vibe at the moment, you know. So I think there are still $1 billion movies, but I think it's going to come from a weirder angle. I think that the superhero big tentpole movies like will always be around in the same way like westerns have never gone away as a genre.
Yes,
but they're not the same.
Well, westerns kind of haven't gone away as a genre.
No, they're still around. They're still around.
Can you name 3 westerns?
I mean, they're on TV now. They're Yellowstone and all this.
Yeah, you know, like. But I think that, you know, like the $1 billion movies will be like, I don't know, maybe Wicked Part 2, you know, like it's going to come from a weirder angle.
I think this is my current hobby horse. I think for a movie to really blow up in the cultural zeitgeist, it needs to feel like a moment that people feel like they have to be a part of.
Yeah.
Now, these movies didn't make $1 billion, but like Sinners felt like that. Weapons, to an extent, felt like that, right? Like these movies that just kept, like, regardless of age, gender, any other demographic, you feel like everybody's talking about this. I got to go check it out, right? Marvel has lost that.
Yes.
And they need to figure out a way to recapture it. maybe casting Robert Downey Jr. as Dr. Doom is a good attempt at that. There's going to be a lot of people that don't give that much of a shit about Marvel are going to be like, the last Marvel movie I saw, he died.
Yeah.
What the hell's going on? Let me buy my ticket, right?
So, and we're talking about marketing. Disney, Marvel, whoever is going to have to ask themselves the question, do we make more money giving that away in the trailer, giving away why we cast Robert Downey Jr., or do they make more money holding that from audiences?
And can we hold it?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Eric was arguing that Marvel needs to justify why they cast him. And at some point they have to tell us why this actor is playing this completely different character. And I think I side with you, John. No, they don't. And that's actually going to be a big contributor to why I buy my ticket or why anybody buys their ticket.
I think that they have to, and they will in the movie.
During the movie, yes.
But in the marketing, I would prefer, and I bet our fans would prefer, they don't give it away.
All the trailers are like various characters seeing him and being like, what?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I kind of, like, I'm sure they'll just find in the movie, but in the trailers, I just want, like, big bad guy, good actor. Great. You know, like, that's all I need.
See, I mean, when I get those shots, all this, we've kind of, poo-pooed the marketing for Doomsday a little bit. Marketing hasn't even started. I mean, in the same way of, like, that Infinity War trailer shot of all the characters running through the Wakandan plains, when we get the equivalent of that, in Latveria or on Battle World or whatever, dog, I am gonna be hyped.
Well, you say that shot was not in the movie.
That shot wasn't in the movie.
Are you saying like you
give
think
me a
that
fake
they're
shot?
gonna give us some fake shit in the
Give me
trailer?
the Rogue One trailer,
But I mean,
yeah.
if it makes for a good trailer, I think I'm just ready. It's been a minute since I and I love all the Marvel trailers, but like a Marvel trailer that like grabs you. And it's like that's especially one that's like I've never seen that before.
Yeah, I mean Deadpool and Wolverine I think came close to that, if not hit it.
Those two guys jumping through the portal is a moment when you're like, I've never seen that before. Hell yes, right?
Let's fucking go.
Let's fucking go.
Yeah, interesting. And then my other question, and maybe we've moved on here, but like, do you think Spider-Man makes more money than Doomsday?
A street-level Spider-Man movie that doesn't prominently feature... I guess it is going to feature Hulk and Punisher, so I shouldn't say doesn't feature... it's not a giant team-up movie.
Not a giant team-up movie. It's been a while since we got Spider-Man.
Outdoes a Doomsday movie that has literally everybody in it.
But, like, again...
But also, if you're getting that many stars, you're only getting tiny bits of everybody. Right. Whereas, like, Tom Holland's a draw,
Also,
Spider-Man is...
Yeah, Spider-Man's a draw, yes.
The Spider-Man Q score,
Here's what I'll say.
Right?
Here's what I'll say. If Spider-Man is not in Avengers Doomsday, which as of this moment, he is not.
Yeah.
I bet he is. As of this moment, he is not. Does that change your answer?
Well, if he's not in Doomsday, he's going to be in Secret Wars, right? That's the thing.
I would imagine.
They're not going to leave him out of both.
Well, and how much of him do we get? Is he like a main player, or he's just like showing up at the
There
airport?
were all of these rumors, and this was maybe back in the King Dynasty days, so maybe it's unfair, that he was going to be a leader of one of the teams.
Yeah.
But now he's not even announced. I don't know. I think that if he's not in Doomsday, Spider-Man, for those at home, a little peek behind the curtain at New Rockstars. Spider-Man is a fucking golden ticket. If we talk about Spider-Man, our views go up. If we put Spider-Man on a t-shirt, that t-shirt sells well. Spider-Man he's the biggest superhero in the world, in my opinion.
Above and beyond any other character.
I think.
Yes.
Lately, Robert Downey Jr.'s Dr. Doom has been maybe the number 2.
Sure, maybe.
Not too far behind him, but like it's still Spider-Man.
But it's Spider-Man.
Way above Superman, way above Batman, way above Wolverine, way above anything, right?
And so, like, is a Spider-Man movie a bigger tentpole opportunity than a movie that is like an Avengers movie? And it's not even an Avengers movie. It's a fucking X-Men movie and a Fantastic Four movie and an Avengers movie all in one.
I also think that's a good point, John. Also, the last time we saw Tom Holland Spider-Man was No Way Home. Movie made $1 gajillion.
Yeah.
Pretty beloved, right? Now, the last time we saw an Avengers movie was Endgame. But also, we've seen the Avengers in a whole lot of stuff since then, right? And things that weren't called Avengers. So, like, if superhero fatigue or Marvel fatigue is real, we are fatigued on them, maybe more so than we are fatigued on him.
Well, and I think, too, like, Superman's been on a run of good movies. Obviously, people have problems with Far From Home, and people have their problems with No Way Home.
Spider-Man.
Yeah, what I said Superman?
Yeah.
Spider-Man.
Superman, No Way Home. Would love to see it.
Superman, No Way Home.
What are you doing here?
I mean, they kind of did that in The Flash.
Yeah.
It didn't work. So like Spider-Man's been on a great run. Box office and quality of film. The Marvel movies that are leading us into Doomsday are on a very bad run if you listen to the majority opinion maybe, which is the opposite of when we were leading into Infinity War and Endgame. It was like generational. This has never been done before. You have to go to the movie theater, and they fucking nailed it.
Well, I think what's happening with Marvel now is the movies used to get like kind of a synergy from the rest of the Marvel movies, and now I think they live and die a little bit more on their own.
Yeah.
You know,
or even pulled down by the other movies.
Yeah.
If the last Marvel movie you saw didn't do so good, maybe you're less likely to see the next one.
I mean, how many people came out of Brave New World and went like, I gotta go see Thunderbolts?
Yeah.
You know, like
it is tough to say, and who knows? I think the more evidence we get, the better like the theories will be, and also like before we toot DC's horn too much, let's see how good and popular.
You're right. They put one movie out.
Right?
Yeah.
That one movie, it was pretty well received and did pretty well, but like, we need a track record there. And like, despite all our speculation and sometimes our negativity, we are rooting so hard for these movies to be good and to be successful. Okay, both us from our employment and our personal.
Just as a fan,
I just like movies.
We like good movies, and we like these kinds of good movies.
Yeah,
right?
like Fantastic Four and X-Men were specifically the books that got me into comics as a kid. I had a family friend who went to college with Stan Lee's daughter at Bryn Mawr, and she had like all these like signed like bits of art from the Fantastic Four. Wow. It was awesome. But so it's like, so when Fantastic Four like finally, came to Marvel, I was so happy. I'm so stoked for the X-Men to finally be coming. Like, these are things like I grew up on, like back when like being a nerd meant you had to go to the worst smelling store in your town. Like ours sold old coins and comic books. Like I'm absolutely rooting for this stuff just because I want it to be great.
Yeah.
But like, that's part of why I'm like, James Gunn's take is so refreshing because I'm like, oh, he seems like one fan who's making like a story he loves with a lot of budget, which is more exciting to me than like, how many rounds of exec notes did this go through after it was created? And that's what gives me pause.
And for however disparate it feels like these two studios are, a year ago, Warner Brothers was dog shit.
On the brink of
they
extinction.
were on, and DC was on this like bad run, and now they're like having one of the best runs of any studio ever, right? 7 movies in a row that opened to 40 million or more, right? Like Sinners and Weapons and Minecraft movie and Conjuring and like 3 others I can't remember. And Superman and One Battle After Another is about to come out. Now, I don't know how well the movie.
I think someone online said PTA's biggest opening of all time is 5 million, which is I think because usually they're limited releases and all that kind of stuff. But still, I read that, I was like, yeah, it's over.
They gave Paul Thomas Anderson $140 million, dog. And you know what? I like that.
How much of that's going to Leo? How much?
Let's go. Probably $100 million.
I'm so on board, man. I'm so on board for PTA.
And you know what? If that movie doesn't make a lot of money, but it wins Best Picture, I think
prestige.
you can still chalk that up to a giant win for that studio. Also, if you're going to throw away money, wouldn't we rather they throw away money on something like that than something like The Flash? Or I don't know. We can name other bad movies. But anyways, what a fun conversation. Despite the fact that I glitched, and both the stream glitched and then I glitched in the middle of the episode, didn't know what else to say. There was a weird moment of silence. But then we found 30 more minutes worth of shit to say.
There we go.
Thank you so much for watching, everybody. We'll be back Friday for Peacemaker. And then we'll be off for 2 weeks. And then we'll be back in October, rocking and rolling. Check us out. Check out. Here, watch this. Okay.
Bad demo.
I know. Okay, never mind. Don't check this out. I was playing with it under the table and I did something. But follow us on all the things and do all the stuff. And most importantly, take care of yourself, everybody.
Bye.